Welcome to Everyday Faith, a conversation series brought to you by the Vedanta Society of New South Wales. In this series, I speak to fellow Vedanta devotees and explore when they discovered their faith and how it has helped them through their life journey.
My name is Larry Whipper. I've lived in Robertson for about 30 years now. We came down here to be close to Dharma, actually, when the retreat centre was established in Robertson. So we explored the property with Mataji and a number of devotees way back when, and we all fell in love with the property, and it's a great space, a great retreat. Also am an elected representative on Wingecarribish High Council. I've been a councillor for 21 years now, and I work as a community relations manager with Community Links.
And how did you come to learn about Vedanta?
I read a book called The Mystics, and there was a whole gamut of Indian saints and sages that were in that book, and one that really appealed was Ramakrishna, obviously. Why wouldn't his life appeal? And then after that, I noticed that there was a lecture being given by Swami Ranganathananda, and I went along to that, and I guess that from that day I was hooked, and I haven't let go of that bait yet. I'm still on that hook. So,
Was it something in particular that Swami said that you kind of set up and went, okay, this is for me?
well, I think it was just really the whole universality of Vedanta, the ancient context of Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma, and just that universal belief that all religions are one and they lead to the same ending. But we attended a number of retreats when Swami came to Australia, and just to be in the company of somebody like Swami Ranganathananda, you didn't even have to apply any thinking to whatever he was saying. It was just like in the scriptures, it says when knowledge is given, it's like oil being poured from one vessel to another, and that that wisdom was just. I remember being at one retreat; it was amazing, and he was doing a Brahada and Yaakov Upanishad, and I thought I had all the answers. Everything was so crystal clear, and that lasted for about maybe 2 weeks after that. I thought I was enlightened, and then it just went away. so,
What set you on a journey to look for something else?
I guess it was just that inner search, that belief that there was, something deeper in life. I was my first sort of exploration into the more deeper philosophy was probably around the age of 16 when I started just sort of questioning life and what we were doing, the meaning of life. And ironically, I was on a train coming back from Sydney one night and picked up a copy of the Bhagavad Gita on the train and started reading it, and it really just sort of hit the mark straight away. It was just saying that, it gave the likeness of this body being just a set of clothes that we take off and we change life after life, and that really, for some reason, just resonated really deeply. And around the same time, the Beatles were, sort of in their heyday height, and people like George Harrison were, sort of putting out some remarkable stuff. So I switched on to All Things Must Pass, and I think that really opened me up to Eastern philosophy and Eastern religion, and right till the end of George's life, I suppose I was a devotee of George Harrison as well, because I think that introduction, particularly to for Westerners to Eastern culture, was a great gift for everybody.
Were there some overlapping themes from the faith that you were brought up in and I guess in Vedanta?
I guess, for me, the life of Jesus was very strong, a very strong character, but it was this sense of what could I say, misunderstanding of the ego and this I that Christ spoke about. So when I started to look into Vedanta, I started to realize that this I, was something that I could identify with in a larger sense. So, in terms of this small ego and the larger ego, the universal ego. So, that after I read the Sermon on the Mount, according to Vedanta, that was a great insight. So, I suppose I just felt more comfortable and more connected, even in my interpretation of Christ's teachings and the application of those in my life through service and adopting that sort of those processes of karma yoga and bhakti yoga. They seem to resonate much more deeply when I had that insight.
Hmm. So you've had this faith part of your life for quite a significant amount of time, and with challenges that came each and every step of the way, as I'm sure all of us face challenges, how has your faith helped you at times like that?
Oh, it's without that faith, yeah, I don't know. I'd probably be a cot case by now, I'd say, because it's like an anchor in life, and I think, it just resonates. Just coming back to that sort of space within where we try to touch out and reach our avatar, our Ishta, during meditation, just retreating into that space and drawing strength from that has been, dare I say, it's been a godsend because without it, life just can be overwhelming at times. So I think it's just taking that time, that space to reflect and to find that point of silence, without all that mind chatter.
A lot of us now find ourselves in a different and strange time where most of us are probably at home, um, kind of practicing social distancing. Some of us, of course, keeping ourselves safe from the virus. Um, what was your reaction when this started to sink in?
Yeah, it's. I've never experienced anything like this in all my time on this planet. It's been quite odd. Yeah, and it's been likened. Some people who've been through wartime experiences have likened it to that. For me, it's almost surreal in so many ways because it's just everything's slowing down, and even just going out, driving to work, there's hardly any traffic. Our major town, Bowral, is almost like a ghost town when you're driving through it. There's parking spaces everywhere, and it's really a strange sensation, But when I'm at home, there's very little difference, really. We just sort of live in our little bubble anyway, and that bubble's always the same because we're surrounded, by all the trappings of Vedanta, those sort of images of Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, and we've got our shrine and we just incorporate it into our lives. So for us at home, nothing's really changed at all. It's only when we go out we sort of realise that things are happening in the supermarkets. It's a very strange sensation. People engaging in that social distancing. You can see that it's a very unnatural way to live because we're social animals just by our being. So we need that connection. So I think, I look around and people without faith or belief, you can see that they're probably struggling, probably a little more. And it's an opportunity, I think, for us all to reflect on what's important in life and learn lessons. If we don't, then obviously it's been a waste, hasn't it? There's somebody says you never waste a crisis. Look for opportunities in it. So
Part of a larger community and you've played a role in the community where you live, uh, are there people that come up to you and sort of try and seek guidance at a time like this? And if there are, what do you usually kind of say to them?
where everything's slowing down and that connection's really not there. I still, in my role as a local government councillor, I still sort of advocate for people. So we get a lot of people just phoning up or whatever and looking for assistance. So that role continues. but we're not even having council meetings because of social distancing at the moment. I believe we've got special dispensation through the local government association to have online meetings from next month. So it's a whole new era that we've entered into, and so my role is mainly advocacy in terms of my local government role at work. In my role, because I'm a community engagement public relations person, that's very difficult because all that is involves a lot of socializing, a lot of interaction, and a lot of network building. So everything is just sort of on hold at the moment. But nevertheless, it gives you time for that inner reflection and a little bit of space. Everything's slowing down. So it seems to work very well, actually. Yeah.
And what are you now doing with kind of this free time that you have?
Yeah, probably the same as I always do, only more of it. So we're within this day of sort of social internet connections. There's a lot of stuff happening, and we try and get up at 6 o'clock every morning, and there's a global meditation on every morning, which is really nice, and a little bit of music. So just to come together in that space where you know that at the same time around the world, maybe 3,000-4,000 people connect, and sort of in that space is really nice as well, and send out good vibes, and just that love and compassion, and that sort of that healing to the world. I think we all need that, and I think that's the way we can really connect, because I think it's times like this we realise how connected we really are, and we're not so different. So if we're being taught anything from this pandemic, is that we're probably more alike than not, and we've got more in common than not. Yeah.
There are all these, of course, teachings that we read about the Gita, and a lot of it is also about finding the self within and understanding that the body that you have, like you said, is are just the clothes that you don, or for some people it's the chariot. Your soul is the master of that chariot. But how do you actually apply these things in everyday life? Like things like detachment are hard to practice because as humans we naturally get attached to things. How do you kind of, in your experience, how have you tried to maintain that big picture to say that all of this is really part of the journey to getting somewhere else?
Mm, absolutely. And life is, as they say, Leela, it is a play, and also an illusion or delusion. I think that mindfulness and staying in that point of reality, and adopting the role of the charioteer as well, and with the mind controlling, the senses, the horses, and keeping them on track. I think that's really important. For me, I spend a lot of time thinking about, as I said, I sort of turned on to George Harrison way back when, and he has a song called The Art of Dying. And that, for me, is the basis of philosophy tied in one, because there comes a time when all of us must leave here and there's nothing anybody can do. So it's a great song, but the deeper philosophy is that every given point of every day, we're giving the opportunity to practice the art of dying, because we lose something every time. Every minute of every day something changes, we lose something, and we have to let go. And for me, ultimately, every day presents those challenges and those losses that we have to accommodate and become strengthened with. And the ultimate is that at that point of leaving the body, we have to let go of the body, we have to leave the body. And so that learning the art of dying, I think, is critically important. Every day we're faced with that opportunity and to learn those skills. So that's something that motivates me through life, and I think it's very inspirational, actually.
That's actually a really good way of putting it. And I'm going to Google that song after we hang up. I've
Yeah,
never heard it,
Dan.
but I will. Well, thank you very much, Larry. Thanks for your time.
Great talking to you. Nice to meet you as well.
Nice to meet you too. Take care.